So introduce yourself, what you do, who you help.
Well, I'm known as the branding conversational barista. My name is Heather, and I'm an online business coach, attraction marketing and business coach, serving women on the online space to create a personal brand and to build that global online business from anywhere in the world, and of course, pockets of their time.
So how did you get into doing that?
Okay, well, it's been a journey, Lori. So thank you, first of all, thank you for allowing me to be here. I really, really appreciate it. Um, well, I knew that very early on that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I just didn't know what direction I wanted to go. And the number one job for me is being a mom. So after I had my two kids, I decided that I wanted to stay home and I didn't want them to go to a daycare, and I didn't want to work for anybody. I wanted to work for myself and I needed to figure it out. So I kind of looked around a little bit and then an opportunity fell on my plate, right? A friend of mine told me, why don't you come to a meeting? And that seems to happen a lot. Come to a meeting. And I'm like, okay, what's this about? So I went and I was a little bit skeptical, I have to say. But it intrigued me more because I saw the big picture of where things could go. So I said yes because of the business, not necessarily because of the products, although I did like the products. So, and from there, that's how the journey began, right from there.
So I know you kind of evolved from that. So how did you decide on being the branding barista? Because I always thought that was very intriguing, the way you said that. And also branding is something I'm definitely looking to improve upon myself. So
Yeah, right. So, um, I'm known as the branding conversational barista simply because branding is more than fonts, colors, and a boring website. It really is about the story that you tell yourself and the story of who you are and how you share that with your world. And I love coffee, and my brand is Build Your Own Brand. And the name of my book is Coffee Chats, Build, Engage, Sell. So through conversation and through coffee, I find that through simple conversation and slowing everything down, that's the ultimate way to lead and to serve from the heart. And that's where I came from up with that.
so you went into like doing, I take it like an MLM and then like the branding barista. So there must have been a lot of steps in there.
There was. That didn't happen in one day, right, Lauren?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I decided to get into the network marketing, and I was with the company for about 11 years, and then we were transferred all over the world and all over in different areas in Canada. So I took a little bit of a break from that. And then I was really trying to find my place. I became a certified home stager, an event planner, and a number one sales consultant here in Canada in 8 months for a major, major brand that is sold in Sephora today. So that I carry with me, and I'm really, really proud of that. So I knew that I was building a brand before I really came onto social media. But I really didn't put a name to it. I really didn't know, okay, this is my brand. This was just who I was. I was all about people, helping people, serving people in the home industry with my uh, home staging business and with the event planning. So then I thought, I'm a little bit bored of this and I kind of didn't want to deal with any more realtors. So I sold the business. I got rid of the business. And then I was kind of like kind of trying to figure out where I wanted to go and fit in. And I had gotten a lot of offers to come and sell and to do this, and I just wasn't interested. And I hadn't really found my place, my home. And then I did get back into network marketing and I fell in love with it. So I was with a company for many years. I got tired of it and I became a rebel, and at that stage I really felt, where I'm just going to do things my own way. I don't want to be told how to run my business, how to talk to people. I don't want to make a list of 1,000 peoples and put my product in front of everybody because not everybody wants it. I knew that. And from my early days of selling and everything that I had previously done, also with my home staging business, I was more working for the client, not for the realtor. I really didn't care about the realtor. I cared about my home, the people who were selling their home, and they entrusted it in me so that I would decorate their home, fancy it up, and do all of the things so I could make them more money. So I figured out this attraction marketing thing really quickly. And the rest is really history. It's just one step after the other, indulging. And I belong to the learning program where I need to invest my time, energy, and some money, of course, so I can invest into things that I want to learn and how to get there so I can teach it back. And I haven't really stopped. That's what brought me to today.
Yeah. So actually, my next question was going to be about some of those investments that you made. Did you invest in networking groups, coaching,
Yeah.
or masterminds? And how did that affect your networking?
Well, I invested a lot of time, energy, and money into this because I believe that you always need to be a student. And if you want to get better, you need to learn better to do better so that you can create better. And then, of course, share more things with the people that you have an audience with, your audience. So I figured that out really early. And I'm a perpetual learner. And I think if you're not learning, you're dying. So you just become stagnant, and your brand is you. Like, your brand is you, and my brand is me. So I do certain things a certain way, others do it in another way. So I'm like, what do I need to apply? What do I need to learn? So I invested in courses and webinars and masterminds, and I did have a coach for a long time. I have a coach now, and I had a coach in September who is Forbes Riley. I can say that openly. Yeah, lots of good things happening, but you do have to invest where you can and where it's possible and where it's feasible. So I believe if you want to grow, you have to look for those moments and times where you can grow. And that's what I believe in.
So, how has the way you network changed over time? Like from when you first started doing the MLM to what you're
Yeah.
doing now and everything?
So different. I mean, I was in the belly to belly, right? Like the restaurants and the hotel meetings and all of that, and having home parties and having parties and then having hostesses. So the networking was mouth to mouth or pick up the phone because it wasn't social media at that time, right? So, oh my gosh, what a transition. So when you come online, it's like, okay, what are the similarities and what are the differences? You really, really need to learn that. There are some rules, there is some etiquette that you need to learn, and there are some skills that you really definitely need to pick up on. Because it's not about just putting a product in front of someone, Lori, and saying, okay, you can buy it. It used to be as easy as that years ago, but not anymore. Because you're casting the net, or you're casting that rod in a sea of blue for the one person. You're not trying to attract everybody because not everybody needs what you have. So you have to be selective. So your marketing is different. So your content is different. So yeah, there's a lot of skills to be learned, right? That's a lot.
Yeah, I think that can be difficult sometimes transitioning from the offline to the online space. And I know a lot of
Yeah.
people want to do that for various reasons. Sometimes just not having to commute and not having to do all of that driving,
It's
take care of
nice.
your
It's nice.
family, all of that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It is a nice,
Reach more
and those are
people.
differences. Pardon?
Yeah, and reach more people, I wanted to say.
That's exactly it, and reach more people under that one umbrella, because I know it doing the belly to belly, like the face to face marketing, where you take your products, you set it up, you have a party, and then you're waiting for the sale, and it just was not what I wanted to do. And I did really, really well for many years, but it was not something. And as soon as I could jump, I jumped, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go at this a little bit differently. I'm don't live inside the box. I live outside the box. If you want change, you have to change, and nothing happens in the comfy zone. So I live in a circle with no barriers, and you got to try. You got to try. If you don't try, you'll never know what's on the other side.
So, would you say you're more introverted or extroverted, and how does that affect your networking strategies?
Oh, I'm not introvert. I'm really postured. I'm really bold. I don't have any fears to talking to people, to helping other people, or putting in myself in a situation, or on stage, or in a room, or doing whatever. You can't have that. I totally believe, and I teach on that. You can't have fear and success in the same sentence. Which way are you going to go? You got to make the decision. Social media is fast acting. It's fast paced. You got to go, go, go. You got to learn the rules, like I said, and some skills, and then really put your heels in and go, and you're going to fall. There's going to be the valleys and the trenches and the pit stops and the days you want to quit. But just before you want to quit is before your next aha moment. And you learn that. And you got to get over that. You got to get over the fears. And day by day, step by step, when you put yourself into action, then you get traction, then you get the reaction you want.
So do you prefer more one-on-one conversations or doing the big group things?
Yeah. Well, I believe in one-on-one conversations, and that's why I wrote my book. You need to build your audience, to engage with your audience, to sell to your audience. And it's one step, one person, one conversation at a time. So it's difficult. It changes for everybody. Some people like the masses and some people like the one-on-one. They have their different fears, right? They have their different feelings on what they feel with it. Talking to one person for one reason to help them is the best way to help the masses. Because if you're talking to the masses on social media, you talk to nobody, because you really haven't identified and you haven't clarified who she is, who that person is that you know you can help. So there's a whole different set of things that you have to go through, like checklist. You gotta have a checklist. Who is she? What kinds of problems does she have? How do you know you can help her? What products do you have that you know if you can get them into her hand, his hand, or whoever? Mine happens to be female, so that's why I say her. How would that change and transform her life? So I think it's one conversation at a time.
That makes sense. Would you say getting comfortable being uncomfortable is part of the entrepreneurial skill set?
Absolutely. You got to get uncomfortable to get comfortable. If you're not doing the things, like there are 7 fundamental skills you need to know. From following up to lead to generate, all of the things, from content to following up to inviting to all of the things that we need to know. If you want to become better, if you want to become good, you got to start. And to become better, you have to do more of the small things. So you got to do more of the things you don't want to do in order to get better. So you got to become a master at the skill, right? You got to show up with confidence. No one wants to work with someone who is wishy-washy. No one wants to align with anybody if they don't know where they're going. Why would anyone follow a follower? I don't understand that. You want to follow a leader. You only have to be 1 inch, 1 step, 1 doorway, 1 throw stone away from someone who says, you know what, come with me. But you have to show that. You have to be able to share that. So fear doesn't have any place here. You got to have self-confidence and the mindset. Everything, Lori, it all starts with mindset. You got to, and I always say this to my clients too, check in with your mindset every day. Like, are you on track? Are you having a good day, a good morning so far? Because that's going to help you for the rest of the day. Right? So how are you waking up? How are you starting your day? What are your emotions? Check in with your feelings. Like, are you ready to go, or what's going on in your mind that could really sabotage your day? That's how I feel.
Yeah, I'm just curious, when you mentioned like 7 steps, could you like briefly mention what they are?
Yeah, so I have to have this in front of me because I talk about it all the time. So lead generation, conversations, following up, inviting, presentations, helping your onboarding. So onboarding, helping your client onboard, and content creation. So all of these things need to be done in our world as an entrepreneur, as a social media marketer, or anybody. So, but there's all these other little things in between all of that that need to be done. But those seven fundamental skills, we're in operation every single day. We have to work on them, and it takes time to get better and to get. I was in a conference a long time ago, and I can't remember who it said it, but it takes 10,000 hours to become a master at one skill. Start counting. Just start. 1 hour, 2 hour, and keep going. Because if you're not practicing, how can you get better? And then you lack the confidence. But with confidence, you can go into a conversation. Doesn't matter what the prospect says at the end, like the asking, like the offer. Yeah, that was number 7, was the offer. Like, you need to offer, then you need to follow up, then you need to close, right? So if you can't offer, then you need to take that conversation, Lori, and get to the offer and then offer and then offer, even though you may get a no or a hesitation or an objection or a rejection. That's not about that. You got to be married to the journey and disconnect from the outcome, divorce the outcome.
So how have you set time boundaries in your relationships so that you don't overwork or fall into people pleasing or those types of things? Because I know that
That's
can
a
be
good
hard for
question.
entrepreneurs.
That's a good question, right? Like, I'm sure you have that with your business. I have that with my business. Um, I work hard, long days, busy days, exciting days, with a lot of, with amazing people who want and are chasing their dreams and their goals. And my goal is to help them unfold and unravel the story so that they can share theirs. And, you get tired at the end of the day. You just have to say, okay, you got to push yourself away. I don't know how you do it, Lori, but I push myself away. I'll put my phone away for an hour because I could be on the phone all the time. I literally could be answering messages and questions and concerns and all kinds of things. Do here, go here, join here. It doesn't end, but you have to, because you got to clear your mind, because you're only so good as the day. And I'm right, you're only so good as the day, and you have to stay in control of your actions. So I set boundaries, I set my priorities, I know what I'm starting in the day, and I know where I need to finish. And when I push away for the day and I leave my office, I'm like, wow, that was some day. And I try not to really, really answer my phone unless I have to.
So how do you feel about the DMs? Love them, hate them? I know in some coaching circles, people are tired of getting the appointments that are DMs. So how do you deal with that?
You mean getting those messages?
Yeah, like with the DMs, I mean, first of all, I just want to ask, like, do you bring a conversation to the DMs right away, or do you kind of usually have some type of connection beforehand?
Yeah, oh yeah. So because I do a lot of conversations and a lot of coffee chats, and this is what I teach on, the sale will happen in the DMs, but you cannot go to a sale. That's the last thing. And I did a heavy coaching session this morning, and it's all about serving, suggesting, sharing, and supporting before I will even take it offline. Offline is where the magic happens, because you get to have a more personal conversation, a more tailored conversation with your client, and you can talk to them, and they can, you can cover objections that they have, but definitely you want to take it offline. You have to build rapport. And for me, in my mind, and the way I coach on this, there's a specific time and a place where I feel ready after the clarifying process is done and completed. Then I can take it offline. So most of my time is spent in clarification. Most of my time is with clarifying questions, pre-qualifying, qualifying. And if I think I have another question, I'm not ready to go to the DMs. I'm not ready to ask the question. I will ask another 5 questions. The longer you stay in the pre-qualifying arena, the easier it is to ask the question and to get a yes. And the DMs is exactly where that happens.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Oh, you're welcome. Welcome.
So, what are your thoughts on tapping into your intuition when networking?
Big time. I think that with all the conversations that I teach my clients to have, and the ones that I have, is I was saying to it last night on the mastermind, actually, closed, tight-knit group of mastermind that I'm teaching. I was saying you need to be able to read between the lines and on the lines. You need to read what they don't say and what they do say. And oftentimes, the ones that we want to help, and you have a prospect and you're talking to her or him, and they're just not quite ready to open up, there's a hesitation. There's something going on, and you need to be able to read that and go there and understand that that's a reality for them in their life. They're not ready to open up and share what's going on. So it's up to you, the consultant, the professional problem solver, to solve the problem. You got to solve the problem. So your intuition needs to be dead on. You should know when to continue and when to listen more. And in fact, the person who listens more always wins the game. Always.
I think that's really good advice, using your intuition just when having conversations. Because a lot of times I just talk about intuition, like knowing what events to go to, knowing who to connect with. But yeah, using it in the conversations themselves.
Yeah, I do it. I use it in the conversations and I teach this because it's really important that you understand why your prospect is where she is, or it's really important to understand the pain points that they have. And sometimes you got to spend more time building rapport before you can take it offline and then ask the question or have a more business-like conversation. So your intuition will steer you right. And if you want to ask another question, it's probably a good idea because your prospect has given you that door to go through. So I would ask another question.
Any closing remarks or things you want to add?
Oh my goodness, this has been awesome. I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. No, I think, as a conversational branding barista, I really think that it all starts with conversation, and I see it out there in the marketplace with a lot of people I'm talking to. Not many people know how to have a single heartfelt, I should say, heartfelt conversation. I think a lot of people struggle with it. What to say, how to say it, when to say it, what to say, when to pop the question, how to lead, it just comes from the heart. And I think that's a struggle that I see out there. So I'm so happy that I get to put my little spin on things and help as many women as I get to help.
It's so amazing. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for inviting me and having me here, Lori. Appreciate it.
You too.